I don't talk about it much, not because I'm afraid, but because I spent years being gaslit into believing none of it really mattered. Like I was just helping out at a startup that turned into something bigger without me. Like I should have been grateful to even be near the fire. But I wasn't just near the fire. I helped build the damn flame. When we started the company, there were 3 of us, me, Trevor, and Lucas. We were friends. Not just business partners. The kind of friends who met in college dorms and stayed up building stupid apps on pizza-fueled weekends. Trevor was the visionary, Lucas the charisma guy, and I was the one who could actually build the things they dreamed up. It started small. A time-tracking tool for freelancers. Ugly UI. Crashed often. But it worked. We called it Pinpoint. And when we saw that tiny flicker of traction, just 400 users in the first month, we poured everything into it. We were all broke then. I mean ramen 3 times a day broke. We ran Pinpoint out of the living room of a 1-bedroom apartment. I wrote code on a second-hand MacBook with a cracked screen while Trevor took consulting gigs to fund our AWS bill, and Lucas was pitching us to investors before we even had a pitch deck. But we made it work. Every milestone felt like a miracle. 1,000 users. Then 10,000. We got our first real customer, a design agency in Atlanta, who paid us $199 per month. I remember refreshing the Stripe dashboard like it was a scoreboard. That same night, I looked at Trevor and said, "Man, this could be real." He clapped me on the back. It already is. In those early days, we weren't worried about paperwork. We were friends. Trust was enough. Also, I thought. We had a handshake agreement, 33% each. Equal partners. Equal risk. Equal reward. We finally incorporated the company after getting into a small accelerator. It was chaotic. We were still shipping product every night, so when Lucas brought me the documents, I didn't look too closely. I signed them between commits. He said the equity was split. I believed him. I was tired. I was naive. But mostly, I trusted him. Fast forward 2 years. We're not sleeping on air mattresses anymore. We've got a downtown office, a dozen employees, and recurring revenue close to $2 million. Investors are circling. Our product's been featured on TechCrunch. People are calling us the next big thing in productivity SaaS. But somewhere along the line, I stopped being included in key meetings. Investor calls would happen without me. Strategic shifts were decided without my input. I chalked it up to focus. I was head of engineering. I figured they wanted me free to build. But it got worse. I'd walk into the office and feel the room shift. Whispers. Slack messages that went silent when I entered. And then, one day, our product manager, Claire, sent me a document by mistake. A planning doc meant for Trevor and Lucas. It mentioned restructuring. And right there in bullet point 3, consider transitioning Ben to contract role post-Series A. Ben. Me. I stared at the screen so long my eyes burned. I called a meeting that afternoon. Sat across from them in the glass-walled conference room I helped pay for. What the hell is this? I asked, sliding the printed doc across the table. Lucas didn't even flinch. It's just a draft. Nothing final. Trevor wouldn't meet my eyes. You're firing me. Not firing, Lucas said. Just refocusing. You're great at building MVPs, Ben, but we need to scale. Bring in senior talent. Trevor added quietly, it's what the board wants. What board? I snapped. I'm a founder. I am the board. Lucas looked at me then, and there was no warmth in it. You don't have voting shares. What? He slid a folder across the table. Check your original agreement. My stomach dropped. I took the folder. Flipped through the pages. And there it was. I held common shares, not founder shares. No voting power. No board seat. No legal leverage. I looked up at Trevor. You told me we were equal. He shrugged. We were. Spiritually. Spiritually? I choked. Are you kidding me? Lucas stood. We're not trying to screw you, Ben. You'll get a generous exit. Equity buyout, 6-month contract. This is how it works. I was shaking. You two wouldn't have anything without me. Lucas shrugged. And now it's bigger than you. I walked out. Not just of the room. Of the company. I went home, broke down, and stayed in bed for 3 days. Everything I'd built. Gone. Everything I trusted. Ruined. But here's what they didn't know. Buried in the original code base, on day 4 of Pinpoint, I had written a licensing clause into our internal tools. A clause that granted perpetual usage rights to the IP only if all founders retained equal ownership or board representation. It was boilerplate. Standard dev protection. I'd forgotten about it myself until I opened my old terminal and scrolled through the earliest commits. And there it was, tied to our proprietary syncing engine. They had built the entire architecture on top of that engine. If I revoked access, the platform would break. And I could revoke access. Because it was open sourced under my name, under a private license. I'd written every line. I owned the copyright. And legally, they had never secured rights from me in writing. They thought I was just the quiet guy in the background. They forgot I was also the architect. I lawyered up. Quietly. I hired a tech IP lawyer named Madeline who looked like someone's kind aunt but had the teeth of a courtroom shark. We reviewed everything. The license. The copyright. The contracts, or lack of them. You hold more leverage than they realize, she said. But don't go nuclear yet. So we sent a letter. Polite. Formal. Stating that the licensing clause had been violated and requesting immediate reinstatement of founder equity or cessation of engine use. They called me within 3 hours. Trevor was furious. Lucas tried to charm me. It was like watching them play good cop, bad cop with no badge to back it up. This isn't necessary, Lucas said. You're hurting the company. You already did that, I said calmly. Trevor growled, you're going to kill everything we built. No, I said. Just reclaim what you stole. They offered a buyout. $500,000. I declined. They threatened to rebuild the system from scratch. I told them good luck, because the current system had over 3 years of my commits, written in my custom framework that only I understood. Then I waited. Over the next month, I watched them try. Job listings went up. Engineers were hired. But every attempt to rewrite the engine failed. Bugs stacked up. Customers started complaining. Then it hit TechCrunch. Pinpoint CTO exit spurs platform stability crisis. Investors started pulling out. That's when the board intervened. They reached out to me directly. The negotiations took weeks, but in the end, they offered me what I was owed, 33% equity reinstated, board seat guaranteed, CTO title restored, and a retroactive compensation package. Lucas and Trevor would remain, but stripped of majority control. I accepted. The day I walked back into that office, everything was silent. Employees didn't know whether to applaud or avoid me. I just nodded, walked past Lucas, who couldn't look me in the eye, and into my office. My name was back on the door. Trevor resigned a month later. Lucas stayed on for another 6, then faded out. I rebuilt the platform from the ground up. Cleaner, faster, more secure. 3 years later, we sold the company for $82 million. I don't tell this story to gloat. I tell it because too often, the quiet ones, the builders, the doers, get overlooked, manipulated, used. But I learned something. Trust is good. Proof is better. And sometimes, the thing they thought was invisible. It's the only thing holding up the entire house.